Welcome, Niti. How
Thank
are you
you.
doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. I'm very excited because for those listening and that don't know, I listened to an amazing Twitter Spaces with Gabe Cisneros and Niti was on, and they were asking her questions, and I just had to get her on the podcast because she has a crazy story, and it's kind of weird because I've been following you for a while. You've been following me. I'm not really a engager on Twitter. I kind of just scroll the timeline. Like I don't like anything. I don't retweet anything. Like I reach out to my friends, the people that I've been growing with for a long time, but I've been watching your moves and it's very cool to see because did you turn 17 yet?
No, I just turned 16 this March.
Oh, wow. Jesus Christ. So you were 15 like earlier than that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course, but holy shit, that's actually insane. And I think that's what a lot of people want to aspire to do because I started at 13, 14, and kind of just fucked around for 5 years and didn't really see any progress in terms of business
Uh-huh.
um, until then. But let's tell the people what you're about and even like your backstory. When did all of this start?
Yeah, so I tell the same story over and over, and it was like I started it when I was 14. So if 15 shocks you, yeah, I was started when I was 14. It kind of reminds me of what you just said. Like you started when you were 13, 14, and you were just, fucking around. And that's honestly what I was doing like in the beginning. The reason was I got into the online space, the online business space was because I was in the eighth grade. I was selling candy and I was selling stuff. And you always hear this, like that's how young entrepreneurs usually come about.
That's
They're
what I
selling
did.
stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
So I was selling candy and stuff, and I actually had like a partner I was selling it with. And then the summer comes, and then I'm gonna go to high school. I'm like, yo, how am I gonna make my money now? Like I got into that sort of entrepreneurial spirit of like trading, a sale for money. It was never trading time for money. I never had a job before. I still don't. So I never speak on like nine to fives in a way that other people can. So it's like when the summer came, after eighth grade, the summer came, I was like just looking on YouTube. Like I feel like this is how almost anyone gets started. They're just looking up like how to make money online and stuff. And that's what I was doing. And then I got onto like social media marketing and then all that sort of stuff as that was late 2020, 2019. That was late 2019. And then that's when I was like putting content out. I was like putting articles on branding and different articles about personal development on LinkedIn and things like that. So I was a big writer. I really did enjoy writing. I have a background of writing. Like since I was like in the sixth, seventh grade, I wanted to write this like realistic fiction book. I did. I never published it, but I wrote it. And so I really had this passion. I still do, and that's why I'm thriving on Twitter is because I have this passion for writing. And
Mm.
I just wrote and I put content out, and I didn't see any sort of like everyone around me was making money online, and like I didn't know how to go about it because I was like only 14 and new to the whole thing, and I was like I wasn't on money Twitter yet either, but I was just putting content out into the internet, podcasts, I was putting articles, I was posting on my Instagram, and I was just putting this content out and in hopes that I would build an audience one day. I ended up building an audience, obviously to show where I am right now, but it's like I wasn't making any money that first year. I'd say June of 2019 to June of 2020, I had made what, $27. I talk about this a lot because I was trying to like sell like graphic design services. I would sell a logo. I remember my first thing I sold online was a $7 Canva tutorial. I taught someone how to use Canva for $7, made a video, screen recorded it, sent it to him for $7. And then the
Nice.
$20 I made after that was I made a quick logo for someone's like motivational Instagram page and I sold it to him for that. So I'd say like that $27, I talk about it a lot, but that's what got my foot in the door. And then after that, my growth started to like become really, really exponential, started to make a lot more money when I joined Money Twitter, surrounding myself with people like you and other people. And you are the first person I followed. So I don't know how I got into following you. I'm not 100% sure, but I was just like, I wasn't using Twitter for like just fun. I was just following people like, generic Gary Vee and, other
Mm.
motivational personal development speakers, whatever. And then you ended up showing up on my timeline or something, and I followed you, and then I followed Jose Rosado as well. And it was the
Yep.
two of you who got me into that sort of. I went down the rabbit hole and then started following everyone else. So yeah, and that's how I ended up where I am right now, a year later.
That's that's so crazy. And like you said this in the space of how, because what's funny is that Jose was that person for me,
Uh huh.
right? I
Wow.
followed him first and then I got sucked into the rabbit hole. I hired him for um, a few different things, and like we're still pretty good friends to this day, and we network, we like share ideas with each other because we're pretty close to the same, right? Like we both had that web design phase. Our high ticket offers are pretty fucking similar right now, and we post a lot of the same content. He's just has a cooler like come up story. But in terms of I have I have so many questions, but the first one, how does it feel to be this young? Like what comes with that? Because myself, I'm 24, and I hear it all the fucking time. Like, oh, you're so young, you're so entrepreneurial for your age. And then you see people like you come in, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, holy shit. So how does that? What do people tell you? Like, what's the common theme, and how do you react to it now? Because I'm sure at first it's like it makes you feel good about yourself, but now it's kind of
Yeah.
like, thanks, back to work.
Yeah. It's like I feel like in the beginning I thought I would receive more of like negative comments where it would be like you're just 15, you're just 14, you're just 16. What do you think you're talking about? Like why are you saying this stuff? And I'd say like that was only 2% of the comments I would receive. Like I've only received that from like a couple people. And it never really affected me that way. Like that negative comments, I really don't give a crap because it's whatever. But when it came to like the positive ones, like, oh, you're so young doing this, I never like in the beginning, yeah, it's cool to hear it, like you said, but after a while, it just becomes repetitive, and it's like, yo, we get it. I'm 16, whatever. So not so many people bring it up. Like if I get to know them, then they just treat me like I'm at their level, if that makes sense. So like I've asked people around, like whenever I get in a conversation with someone, and I have daily conversations with them, I usually ask them like, yo, we've been talking for a while. You've networked with me, does it feel like you're talking to a 16-year-old? Like I want to know, like, does it feel like you're talking to a teenager? And they're like, no, not at all. Like after a day or two, like after a couple days of a couple times of coming across you and talking to you, it's like I'm not even talking to a teenager. So in that sense, it's like I'm grateful for that, because it's like if people didn't respect me because of my age or my number, then it's like it wouldn't make sense, because then they wouldn't value my content or what I have to put out there more. So it's like, but even so, now, I mean, I get the comment that, oh, you're so young, but
Mhm.
it really doesn't click anything, because the thing is, my parents, they've always, like, the accomplishments I have right now, whenever I tell my parents like what I've achieved or anything that I've accomplished, they don't take it and try to like push my ego further. And that's what it is with me. Like the things I accomplish, I'll announce them, but I won't think much of it because of the people I surrounded myself with, like you, like Jose, and many, many other people. And it's like, yo, I have a long, long way to go. The, thousands of dollars I made is nothing compared to what I can do. The people I've impacted is nothing compared to what I can do. So when people try to say, oh, you're this and that, I don't let it get to my head, because that's just going to inflate my ego for no reason. I have such a long way to go. Now, although I'm confident and I know my ability, it's like, yo, I still got to keep that down. Got to keep my guard up. So that's where
Yeah.
I think of it.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing too is, and one, I want to touch on this. I like how you said your number. I think that's deeper, and like some people may have missed that, is you refer to your age as your number because that's all it is, right? It's just a number, and fuck, yeah. Enough on that, but um it's crazy to see this stuff because like even me talking to you right now, it's no, I wouldn't expect you to be, if no one knew, if we didn't even mention your number, no one would be able to tell. They'd probably think you're like 40.
You
Uh,
think so?
maybe. No, probably not. But it's very cool to see because, and especially how much of an impact Twitter, of all things, had on that. I still think people write off Twitter very
Hmm.
quickly just because of what it is. But it's the same story. Like when I surrounded myself with those people, my everything just went exponential because it's like, okay, yeah, when I started looking this stuff up on my own, I didn't know that there were like freelancers or agencies that were absolutely killing it and making 100K, 500K a month. And I wouldn't have believed it at the time either. Right. I was looking up, oh, how can I make six figures online? Right. And I'd see that. And it's like, okay, even that sounds a little too good to be true. And I'd put it into action and then I'd only see, like, I wouldn't see anywhere near six figures. Right. And it's like, okay, something's wrong here. But then you get on Twitter and you see everything and they're dropping insane value and everything just clicks all of a sudden after one little tweet. It's pretty fucking crazy. But
It is. It's
yeah,
insane. It's like, yo, you can just reach out to anyone in the DMs, like Jose or like anyone, even you. And it's like, yo, or even if anyone listening, like if you reach out to me, it's like anyone you reach out to, you never know if you're going to get a response. And if you're ever stuck in anything, it's not like just YouTube where you just watch a video and you have a ton of questions after. You see people doing it. So it's like it pushes you to do it because it's like you can watch people's journeys. If someone's seen me since the beginning versus now, they know that all that differentiates where I was then to now is action, especially you too. Like where you were 3 years ago is not where you are right now, is because of action. But also the people you surround yourself with can provide you with that information. It's not just like YouTube or going on the internet just looking it up.
yeah, no, exactly. Because you're kind of pressured to do it too. Especially
Yeah.
if you're like building, even if you're doing nothing related to a like a business account. If you're just growing because you fell into the whole Twitter growth phase and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to grow. I'm going to try and grow on Twitter. You're still surrounded. And then you have that public accountability where it's like, I'm trying to become an influence in this space. I need to step my fucking game up because everyone else that's an influence in this space are absolutely killing it. And this is kind of an off topic, but it's something that's very loud. It's very, very loud on the timeline um, because people don't want to fall into it. And it's like scamming, right? Because there's been the people that grow to a specific follower count. And then, you know, it comes to that, people kind of blindly respect it. But, and this is something I've talked about in a few podcasts is like, what, one, is there a way to filter that, like filter out who's good and bad? And is there, do you think it's becoming less common because of all of the real people that actually put their results out there? That's kind of it's a very not well defined question, but what do you think?
So is the question like, do I think scamming is becoming less common or less obvious because of the real people out there? Or
Both. Yeah, like what's your thoughts on it as a whole? Because I'm sure you see it too. It's like everyone likes to comment on it, and so it gets boosted up a lot when people just talk about scamming. And I mean, we're in the industry, we're in the course, the info product and consulting industry where it's frankly it's very easy to scam people,
yeah.
right? So it may be encouraged if the wrong person joins money Twitter and has that pressure to grow and make more money, but they don't have anything in place. Like they don't have the experiences or skills or knowledge to actually create something of value. So they
Mm.
turn to scamming. And this can be more of a discussion than an actual question because it's just, it intrigues me because I've seen people that are seem very trustworthy on the outside, but
Uh-huh.
then they'll get called out one day and have their brand destroyed. And sometimes it's false calling out. I've been on both ends. We don't have to name names, but there was a time where they just absolutely destroyed someone's account when the entire time it was just like, sure, he copied a tweet. That's it. But then they went apeshit on his account, destroyed it, and ruined everything he'd worked for. And it's kind of crazy to see. It's like the people that don't condone cancel culture went along and canceled someone for something as menial as a copied tweet, which could have been handled better on both sides. But
Yeah, it's definitely ironic. Like, do you think it happens more towards people who have anonymous accounts or like actual personal brands, people who put themselves out there?
anonymous accounts for sure, because there's a missing trust factor. Like you can do what you can to build that trust factor and be authentic or funny or document your process. But if you don't know FA, do you remember FA?
FA. I don't
EFE.
think.
He was like a funnel guy. He was like a funnel guy, and he took people's money and then didn't deliver a funnel, or at least uh, he just gave them a really shitty one. It was like one or the other. It was never a good funnel, and so of course he got called out, right? And a lot of people swarmed him and took him down. But yeah,
Yeah, I
it's weird.
definitely with what you said with like people coming into the space and they not having any sort of experience and then that push factor because everyone around them is doing info products consultations and then all this sort of stuff where it's like they're pushing their products and services and then someone completely new comes into the space, has no experience with online business, starts pushing products and services and they've never, learned about it or have experience and they're charging thousands for it, even hundreds, and it's not even worth that, then yeah, I can see people, that's definitely going to be broken down because if people can see right through you, maybe your first client's not going to say anything, but your second, third person who you scam or you don't do or fulfill the way
Mm.
you're supposed to, then it's going to come out because once one person speaks up, then everyone else is going to start speaking up. Because I also want to bring up this one thing, and it's like the reason our environment pushes us to be who, at their level, like let's say my environment, everyone around me makes 100K a month. The reason that would push me and I'm like bound to make 100K a month is because even back in the old times, the way tribes would work, like, tribes, the people that we surrounded ourselves with, they would be at a certain level, they would do certain things, they would go out and hunt certain animals and stuff like that. And if we don't show our accountability to that level and that we're contributing to the tribe as much as everyone else is, you're kicked out of the tribe. Right, so it comes back from long time ago too. It's like it's a modern foundation, but it's also a modern basic principle, but it's also a principle that could have been applied long years before as well.
Yeah, no, I've never thought about that. That's really good because you can see that all on Twitter. Twitter is extremely tribal. Like even like money Twitter as a whole is a tribe, and then there's like the mini tribes inside of there. If you couldn't tell, like the base tribe or like the tech tribe, and then the weird tribes that just try to cancel everything. And yeah, it's very cool to see. But having a good head on our shoulders, we can have a good tribe. But
Yeah,
so in
definitely.
terms of let's talk about Instagram empire, because I fucking hate Instagram. And maybe that's just because I have no idea how to use it. But like, how did you start on Instagram and get to that point? Like, yeah, I'll let you explain it. What's Instagram empire? And then two, how did you get to that point where you felt confident enough to sell that information?
Okay, so Instagram Empire is a program, it's a course that teaches people how to grow and monetize on Instagram. And you said you hate Instagram. Before I get into it, I want to ask, why do you hate Instagram? Because it might lead me into the answer to this.
In terms of Instagram, I just don't know how to grow, right? It's very similar. I'm sure there are similar concepts to Twitter, but I just understand the platform of Twitter a lot more and how to leverage the different features for my growth. But with Instagram, it's like I just don't know what to do. And like I can post and get good engagement because I've paid for growth up until this point. But then growing beyond that, it's like I don't know what fucking hashtags to use. If I should use hashtags, I don't know if I should go all out and pay for growth, which I know would work, but I don't really want to do because my main focus is Twitter and I could just pay for growth there if I wanted to. Um, so that's the main thing.
Yeah, so that's usually the common thing that I get from anyone. It's like I don't even know how to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is, the reason is because on Twitter, you know it yourself, like the main things that you need to grow on Twitter is just good connections. So they shout you out here and there, just like genuine shout outs. You need good content and good engagement. Those three things, you're set. But like with
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, if you want to grow organically and not pay for growth, you need good visual content. And visual content can be hard to come up with. Like a tweet, you just write a couple
Mm-hmm.
things and boom, send it out. But with visual content, you gotta sit in front of the camera. You have to actually, be there and show up. It's not something that can be done one, two, three. Or even like if you're designing something. I think I remember you saying something about you used to do stuff like visual arts on like Instagram, right?
Yeah, and I grew quite a bit because, well, the thing with that is, um, there were community pages. So I created digital art, so like Photoshop composites. It was just like cool looking images, really, and I would hashtag all of the community accounts. So there was like a Game of Tones, which was an account that just shared content from other people creating that stuff. So I'd get organic shout outs from them and photographers that liked my stuff simply because I used their hashtag and they used my post for content. Right. So I understood that very well. So is that a strategy? Is like, would I be able to hashtag certain business pages and then they just use my content if they actually check those hashtags?
Yeah, they could. Yeah, if you're like you mean like hashtag the brand, like branded hashtags, or are you meaning tag them?
Both. So yeah, I did
Okay.
both.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like if even if like it was that valuable that your content was being shared and they were even leveraging it, like if they were using it and you could have offered that stuff to them too, maybe even get paid for that,
Mm,
right? I feel like that could have been something as well. But if it was working, boom, right there, that's a growth strategy. Like if you're, have a certain niche of content and then bigger pages up there are using it or sharing it, then that's a growth tactic right there. I know some people who they do tag bigger pages so that they can show up in that person's tagged, like the recent tag. So if someone else comes on the
mm,
page and they see that your post was recently tagged on there, they'll click it and save it, share it, follow you. That's also a growth tactic that I see often. But that's the main thing. Like I've noticed, like a lot of people tell me it's just that one thing that the reason they hate Instagram is because they don't know how to grow. They then if you don't know how to grow, you're not going to know how to monetize on the platform either. You won't be able to at least. So it's like a lot of people think that organic growth on the platform is dead. It's not. I know a lot of people like. I don't think a lot of people know this, but I grew my account to 20K organically, and it was just 29. It was 2020, so it was just recently. It wasn't like, oh, I did it like 2015 or something. No,
mm.
like you can grow organically on the platform without having to pay for promotions or ads, because that's what I did. I didn't have money getting started, so I was like, yo, let me just do what it takes organically. And it didn't take that long either. The first 10,000 took longer than the second. So I'd say the first 10,000 took maybe 6 months. The second 10,000 took 3 months. So it wasn't that long to get to 20K organically, but it's not dead. So IG Empire teaches you how to do that, how to use the right hashtag strategies, engagement strategies. There's different strategies that go into creating viral content as well. Because if your content is not shareable or like mimicking or replicating viral content, you know what goes viral on Twitter, right? You're like an
Mhm.
expert on Twitter. You would know. You know what goes viral on Twitter. So you usually, like anyone would use the same tactics and the fundamental principles of whatever is working. That's what you're going to follow. So in anything, even the agency model or flipping or whatever you're doing, you do what works. You're not trying
Mhm.
to reinvent the wheel. So that's what IG Empire teaches you, is how to create content that works, how to choose a niche. So anyone who's complete beginner to someone who's an expert and still can't grow, that's what IG Empire is for. And I see a lot of gurus out there trying to teach how to do paid promotions and stuff. Not a lot of people have the money for it, right? I'm teaching to people who were where I was, 6, 12 months ago, where I didn't have any money. And it was like, how would I grow? So that's what I was teaching them. But I got onto, to answer your question from before as well, I got onto Instagram when I was 14. That's the first social media I opened in June 2019. Yeah, I did open it then. And the reason I opened it was, aside from the fact that, it was like stemming off the fact that I was selling candy in school and then school was going to close and I was ready to
Mm.
still make money. And actually, the same partner I was selling candy with, I was gonna like start like a business, like a door to door business or something during the summer. But then I was like, let me do this online stuff and see where it brings me. I'm so glad I did this online stuff and saw where it brought me, because it's crazy. But I wasn't gonna get on social media either for it. But one of my teachers, I remember one of my, like, it was my English teacher. She told me, she was like, she's super young too. Now she quit her job as a teacher and she works at a business. She's like a sales person at a business in New York now, which I'm really proud of her for making that leap.
Yeah.
But she told me to get on social media and, promote my stuff on here and do what I can on here. So if it weren't for her pushing me, I probably wouldn't be on social media, because even as a kid, you see all these kids just posting on social media. They're just fun stuff and things like that. I was never the type of kid to be on social media. I never liked the camera. I never liked any of it. I was complete introvert as well. It's a whole nother topic, but I hated it. I hated social media, and then I got on it and I started like seeing what it could bring me and what it's bringing other people, and it's just like, why? How can you hate it now? It's like, you can't hate social media if you're gonna use it right. So yeah, Instagram was the first platform I got on, and it's kind of ironic because I talk about me being an introvert before, and it's like, people would think like, how did you get on a visual platform if you were an introvert? That was tough. That was something that pushed me out of my comfort zone, because I was definitely not comfortable in front of the camera before. I hated, like, if you seated 2019 me here instead of me right now here, I would not be able to talk to you. Like,
Yeah.
I would try my best, but I would be like, my voice would be shaky and shit like that. Like, I hated it. But like, you wouldn't. I've asked other people, like, would you even guess that I was an introvert before, or like that? They're always like,
Mm.
no. Like, I love it being with people now, and it's like, it's a whole new person, and I'm proud of myself for that. But it's like, I guess going down that Instagram venture also pushed me to become a new person in the best way possible, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I was the same way. I was the most that's why I tried doing the freelancing stuff before, because I tried like the YouTube. I did like a fitness YouTube and some other video stuff before, but I just hated it. Like, I hated relying on vanity, although that's not what it was. It was trying to help people in the fitness space. Uh, but like, I couldn't handle it, right? And especially talking to the camera in such a such an environment like the gym. Like, trying to talk to the camera in a gym is so awkward. It is just the most awkward thing. So imagine that, because I would also do like videos at home where I just record myself. I tried to be like an Elliot Hulse, if you know who that is. But
Yeah.
yeah, I tried to do like self improvement content like his, and then talking in the gym was just the worst thing ever. So I stopped doing that. But what what would you recommend for people? Because I think that's what online business attracts, is the introverts, because it's not
Mhm.
like you have to go and um, go to like a job interview or talk to people for a living. Although you're encouraged to, because like freelancing, you have to get on sales calls. Um, if you want to start a podcast and like build that deeper connection with people in your audience, then you kind of have to learn how to talk. Uh, what did you do? Is it as simple as just doing it?
I would say it was all about confidence and not giving a fuck. I think it was
Hmm.
those two things. And then it leads into like, how do you build confidence? How do you not give a fuck? Well, one, I'm just going to speak from my experience. I used to be an introvert, right? But when I ask people now, they're like, Nitty, like I remember being in the high school recently and my one of my friends was like, yo, you turned from an introvert to an extrovert and I don't even know how. Like everyone around me notices the difference,
Hmm.
especially this one year where we got the pandemic and we just sat at home and I became a completely new person. Like people don't even recognize me. I walked into one of my classes, my chem class, my teacher's like, "Who the hell are you? Like, you're not on my roster." I'm like, "Nitty Sarran." Even the photo looks completely different, and they're like, "Wow." And yeah, so it's like confidence can change a person, and that's something I didn't have was confidence. So how do you build confidence? Well, from my experience, what I hated was I never wanted to call myself socially anxious. I never wanted to attach those words to my identity. But deep down, I know, like looking back at it, I probably had social anxiety. I probably was a like really bad introvert. But now it's like the way I got to where I am right now, being able to speak with people and not really give a crap about anything is like the first step was being able to talk to people, and that all started with simple things like sending voice messages instead of texting,
Mm.
simple things as asking people to get on calls with me more often, simple things with like, yo, I'd love to connect with you, let's hop on a Google Meet right now and let's talk.
Hmm.
Simple things like even pushing myself this year or even last year to start podcasts with guests and talk to people, push myself out of my comfort zone every week, get on calls with people. And it was like surrounding myself with people who do this on a day-to-day basis. So it was that for, putting myself out there and being able to talk to people. And as I started to get in front of the camera, not recorded though, but being able to talk to people one on one, then I started to be more comfortable in front of the camera itself and record. Because then it was like, yo, I do this with people. Now, what if it was recorded?
Hmm.
So then I start practicing being recorded in front of the camera first with like no talking, just, you know, I'm sure you've seen like Instagram reels. You could just put music in the
Hmm.
background. So you don't need to speak in front of the camera first, but it's that sort of that's it takes those baby steps. It takes those baby steps. So if that's what it takes to get comfortable in front of the camera, that's what it takes. But I would say the number one thing is being able to talk to people more often and get on calls and all that sort of stuff. Now you see me in person, like I say hi to the random strangers. I always try to say something to people crossing me, or like on the streets or something. I always try to make some sort of gesture because it's like, yo, that's pushing me out of my comfort zone every single time I do that until it's comfortable. I'm pushing
Hmm.
myself to be uncomfortable until it's comfortable. And then that's a new person being birthed. Like that's a new person. So it's that. But also, I feel like business success also creates some form of confidence,
Hmm.
right? Like, do you feel that too?
Yeah. Yeah. So first, it's funny that you mentioned the voice message because thinking back, that's exactly what I did too. And I had a bit more under my belt, but even just starting on Twitter and um, getting invited to a group of people that were absolutely killing it is pretty fucking intimidating. You're just like, I'm in this group, like I don't want to I don't want to write any kind of message, or I just want to sit back and like listen to what they're saying. And you're nervous doing that. But then it's funny, I've never mentioned this to him or really anyone. I remember sitting in my old room and I got a message from Lawrence King, right? And at the time, he's 20K, 30K, and very well respected person. He sent me a voice message, and I'm sitting there like, fuck, I have to send a voice message back, don't I? And so I'm sitting there like rehearsing in my head what I'm going to say because I know I'd like trip up on the actual message. And I did. Like, I don't think he noticed, but uh like I was just tripping up and like stuttering the entire time. And then after that, it's kind of just evolved into, again, not really giving a fuck. And that's what matters in business too, because it's like if you detach from the outcome of the sale, more sales come in. I can't really
Hmm.
explain it more than that, but the times where I close the most is when I just could care less. Like I immediately get on a call with someone, I just talk to them. like they're a human being, like they're a bro. I guess that's another good thing about Twitter is that uh, I usually work with people that are in an age range similar to mine and have a similar mindset. So I kind of talk to them like they're just my buddies, and they respect me for that, and they trust me a lot more to give me a good amount of money for a service in return. So yeah, it's huge. And have you read The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck?
Yes, I have.
Mm-hmm.
I have. Back in
A
2020
classic.
when the pandemic first started, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that I think that's one that's it kind of sucks. Like maybe I'm just exposed to this too much, but and I've made a video on it actually, but I feel like mine is more nuanced where people will attack some kind of self-improvement concept in a very polarizing way just to get engagement like on the other side of things, and I feel like it creates a hateful dynamic for some people towards that. And it's like, dude, if you just read the book with an open mind, like it's going to be fucking amazing. And it's the same thing with like platitudes or generic tweets. They're necessary for growth, absolutely, because
Hmm.
people often forget who they're actually trying to help, and it's not another big account that you're just trying to get clout from. Um, so yeah, that's the main thing. What and I remember in the spaces you saying that you used to watch or like binge watch motivational videos at the very start. How do you think that helped you? Because I was very similar, and personally I wouldn't be on this journey if it wasn't for all of the basic advice that is
Yeah.
being given out, or the viral advice really.
Yeah, so I don't understand why people always shit on platitudes and things like that because you never know who you're speaking to. And it's like the people coming in, they need that advice in the beginning, especially because, you said you've come from that first place too. And it's where I came from initially, is back in the sixth grade. This was way, way earlier, but back in the sixth grade is when I started watching those like motivational videos. I think the first video I came across was this guy like giving this poem type speech, and he was like, about how the school system is flawed. And then I started to get into these motivational videos about like, Eric Thomas and like Tony Robbins and all those other people, like these big giants who like speak on personal development and stuff. And it's like, if I didn't watch those things, that wouldn't shift my mindset in a way, because it's like, yeah, you're feeding yourself with this stuff, but it's like at a certain point, then you need to stop like feeding yourself with that. But like in the beginning, I understand why everyone comes in with that and why that helps a lot of people in the beginning, because it's like some people don't have that mindset, and if you binge watch, you are what you feed yourself,
Mhm.
right? So whatever you're following on social media, whatever you're constantly watching, whatever you're constantly listening to, that is who you become. So if you're listening to personal development and self-improvement and self-help all the time, you're gonna become someone who, you know, always thinks those things. I heard like this funny things go around on money Twitter. It's like you'll start thinking in platitudes,
Yep.
right? So it's like yeah, in a way, it's like you'll start to think differently, but at some point you'll still need to take action and find a way to harness that in the best possible way. But yes, I do
Mm.
think it's definitely useful in the beginning. And the way I was using it, the motivational videos in the beginning was, I was, with my grades in school. I had nothing else. I didn't have a business back then. I didn't know anything about business back then. The most I could do was do well in school. So I was using those motivational videos, and I wasn't just sitting there with them. I wasn't just like watching them all day and just using it as entertainment. I wanted to do something with it because there's just something in me, and it's like, yo, like I want to do something with all this drive, this motivation. So you use that to build discipline, right? Motivation builds discipline, and discipline never fades. So I use that discipline to work my way up to valedictorian of eighth grade. It's not that big of an accomplishment compared to other things, but it was just something I set my mind to, and I was like, yo, I just, I wasn't the smartest. I really wasn't. I wasn't the smartest. I didn't always read, but I was like, yo, I'm just gonna work my way up and beat all these people in my classroom and see if I can do it. And I did it.
Mhm.
And I was like, yo, it is what it is. But it's like I used it to my advantage. It's not like I just sat there with it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've had a similar experience.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. And I've been trying to understand this for a long time. is whether or not you have, like, you hear it all the time where people have it, right? Oh, you have it. Like, you're going to make it and do
Mhm.
whatever. Do you think that's an actual thing? I kind of know what it is, but I want to hear your perspective on it. Do you think people are just born with it, or do you think it can be learned? I'll leave it at that.
I feel like I feel like it can go both ways. I feel like you can learn it. I also feel like you can have it because you see all these different talented people in the world and at a young age especially. Now, I'm not considering myself, but I'm just saying like other people. I've definitely learned along the way. It was me, I learned it. Everything I've done so far, I've learned it. I don't have it. But other people, I feel like it's either their upbringing or they just have it. But I think it's the upbringing. I think it has a lot to do
Mm,
with the upbringing. Your parents and how you were raised and all that sort of stuff. But you see these rare cases of like these child geniuses. And it's like then okay, you
mm,
have it. But I feel like if you see like, teenagers or 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds doing really well, I feel like they learned it, or their parents had something to do with it. Their environment had something to do with it. You see these kids grow up and be really entrepreneurial spirited. I feel like their parents really had something to do with it, or their environment, or they learned it somewhere. Even the computer, learning it from the computer or your phone or something is an environment.
mm.
I feel like it has a lot to do with your environment, but there are small cases where, you just have it. But I feel like that's rare. What do you think?
Yeah, I know it's definitely like conditioning plays a huge factor, how you're conditioned to think, but
Hmm.
then and throughout your childhood, and wow, I hate to, because my parents were very straight edge, right? And I'm trying to figure out what caused that like rebellion in me, because they wanted me to
Uh-huh.
go the traditional route the entire time. It's like, oh yeah, you need to learn how to manage your money so you can save for college so you don't go into debt, and then you need to go to college so you can get a good job, et cetera, et cetera. The modern route. And come to think of it, like, I think I owe a lot of my success to the rebels at my church, if that makes sense, because those were where I met my friends, right? Some were at school, but I went to church as a kid, and there was this one guy, one of my best friends, that was a fairly bad influence. He was a pretty damn bad influence, right? Like, having me, he would like smoke weed, and we're talking at like 16 something, and I was pretty straight edge up until that point, and I have nothing against weed. It's smoking all the time, but the the thing with that is, like, as a young kid and seeing those things, and like just having to question my own beliefs, because it's like, oh yeah, this guy is going to church next to me and he does all of these bad things, but he doesn't really care. So, and he doesn't want to do specific things in the church, and why is that? Like, should I start thinking that way? And it developed that critical thinking habit, I guess. But that can make or break a lot of people. So maybe that's like another thing where you might just have to have it, or depending on what you're exposed to at that time, it determines your trajectory, because some people could go down like a very bad route, and some people could take that and go down a very good route. And so honestly, I don't know. It's a very interesting subject. We'll have to like talk to Joey or something, because I'm sure he understands the brain
Yeah.
mechanics to a T.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very, very, very interesting. Were there any times that you remember, like as a young child, that determined that turning point? Was there ever a turning point, or have you always been pretty entrepreneurial?
That turning point. I feel like the turning point between okay, I can name a couple times. I wouldn't say there was this one main time where I've turned from like rebellious to entrepreneurial or vice versa or anything like that, but I would say like it had a lot to do with school because the thing is my parents are immigrants and they both brought me up to do very well in school. So it's like, if you don't do well in school, we came to this country so you could do well in school. You don't end up on the streets. You get a good job. You go to college. You get a good job. But so I was always like focused on my studies, and I would say until the fourth grade came. And the thing with the fourth grade was you get honor roll. It's like something called honor roll, and you
Hmm.
get like this certificate. If you do really really well, you get put on the top of the class. Like, I'm sure you've heard of it.
Yeah.
So you get honor roll, and I was like, I remember this one day, the teacher told us, all right, your parents are gonna come in tonight. They're gonna see your grades, and those of
Mm.
you who got honor roll, you're gonna get the honor roll certificate. And I remember going home to my mom that same day, and I said, Mom, they're giving honor roll cards. I don't think I'm gonna get one because I had so much self doubt that I didn't like. I was doing good in school, but I didn't know.
Mm.
So I told my mom and I said, "Yo, like, I don't think I'm gonna get that honorable card. Don't expect it. Like, these other kids might have, but I don't think I did." My mom goes into school. I end up getting it. And then that's when shit started to move. That like everything started to change because I was like, wait, I'm actually smart. Like I didn't know. I'm like, I think my parents set such a high standard that it's like no matter what I do or what I accomplish, it doesn't feel like it's
Mm.
enough in a way. It's like I can get the highest grades and it still feels like I'm not doing anything. Maybe in a way, like I'm saying, I don't think I just came out the womb smart. Like I didn't. I was like I didn't. Like I'm pretty sure I didn't, but I feel like it's just the conditioning and the parents. My parents always pushing me to read as a young kid. I
Mm.
would always read. Like what like 8-year old, what 10-year old do you know writes essays for fun? I would
Yeah.
write for fun. Like you don't know a 10-year-old that goes and pulls out books from their bookshelf, writes for fun, and didn't know they were doing good in school.
Mm.
Like that was me. I didn't know I was doing good in school, even though I was doing all this stuff. And then when the teacher told me, "Oh, you got honor roll," then I was like, "All right, if I can do that, valedictorian next. Let me see. Let me see." I don't know. There was so many other kids who could read at a higher level as me, level than me. There were kids who, performed better in tests than me, but I still managed to push myself. I think it was just the fundamentals that you learn in like self-help, self-improvement, discipline, taking action, just putting in more reps, more work than the people who you're competing against, right? And it's just becoming your best self. And now I didn't know all this, in the fourth to eighth grade, but now looking back at it in retrospective, then it's like, yeah, I know. Now I understand. But I would say it's realizing I was doing good in school, realizing my potential. And then I would say the same summer that I got into online business, I wanted to be. I was like, everyone would ask you, Nitty, what do you want to be when you get older? I was always like a lawyer. I was like, I don't know, I make $250,000 a year. I was like a lawyer. I hate history. I hate history. I hate learning about law. So it's like, why did I ever think that? It was the money. It was the money. It
Mhm.
just the numbers look nice. I was like, yo, so then I got into the online business space. I was like, I don't have to chase the money. Like I can do something I enjoy. I
Mm.
can put my creative works to work. Like I enjoy writing. I'm into the creative, I have a creative facet. And then I was like, I can just apply that to an online business and boom. So I mean, it was that. It was those small realizations of like, you don't have to go down the normal route. You can still use the sort of skills and the mindset you've developed to your advantage. That sort of mindset my parents put me through, whereas like, you know, now all I think of it as is like my parents immigrated here. The least I can do is show them that it was worth it and that their daughter is going to be successful, right? Whether that's in school or in life, in business, whatever, I'm going to go and do it. But it was those basic principles that I applied to whatever venture I went down to actually succeed in it and show my parents, but they still never inflate my ego. But yeah, it's that. I think it's those 2 points. And I'm sure there's other points when it comes to, realizing who I am as an individual and stuff like that, but that's a whole another topic.
Mhm. Wow. that's that's wild. That brings me to another question is what what do your friends in school think? Do they know that you're doing this,
Mhm.
or do you try to cover it up at all to avoid having to talk about it and repeating the same things?
So sometimes it's like it's starting to get annoying to have to repeat the same shit over and over because it's like, oh, like, yeah, I do this online stuff. But yes, a lot of kids know. And the reason they know is because this pandemic make everyone go on their phones all the time. So they find me on Instagram and stuff because a lot of my friends do follow me.
Mhm.
And, they find me on Instagram. They see such a huge following count. They're like, in high school, it's like, oh, what are you doing to get so many followers? I'm like, yo, I'm not doing nothing. I'm just running a business. I'm doing what I got to do to make money and help people.
Mhm.
And they think it's cool. I'm just like, yo, I'm just doing it to run a business. And yeah, they know. A lot of kids know. A lot of kids are starting to find out now recently as well. I feel like by the end of high school, everyone's gonna know. But because I still got like 2 years, but I don't try to hide it in any sort of way, but in a way that it does get annoying. Some people like come up to me, yo, Nitty, what do you do? Get in the DMs, like, what do you do? This and that. But it's actually really cool to see people realizing what I do because I know some kids who come to me and they're like, Nitty, I wanna start a business. I wanna do this. And there's some kids that actually started like beauty businesses and things like that, like these girls that I know, and they're like starting these beauty businesses like at home, like nails and things like that. And like in the high school we're in, like they teach in Vogue and they teach those sort of trades so you can
Mm.
apply it. But they also come to me for like advice on like financial advice, like things like that. Cause some kids want to go to medical school in college and they're like really advanced. Like I'm in honors classes, I'm in AP classes. So
Mm.
all these kids that come to me, they're usually up there too, but they're kids that want to be like doctors, lawyers, those type of kids. And they come to me, Nitty, and they're all stressed every single day. I don't understand why they're so stressed, but they stress so much and they're like, yo, I don't know how I'm gonna pay off all this debt. Like you didn't even go to college yet. Calm down. It's okay. Like
Yep.
but they come to me and ask me for financial advice. I'm not no financial expert or anything, but I see a lot of kids coming to me as if I'm someone higher up, even though I'm not. But they come to me as if I'm someone higher up and they come to me for advice. And I really do find sincerity in that,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fucking sick because I wish I was at that point because then you can help them do the same thing. And that's what all of this is all about, right?
Mhm.
But we're trying to do it at scale now. So it would have been fun to have some people along that journey and kind of bring them up with you. So I would heavily encourage that. Charge them a small consulting fee. Make sure you get paid for it. But no, that's so cool. And you're bringing back memories because I know I'm only 24, but it feels like with all this business stuff, even though it's been like 3, 4, maybe 5 years, I honestly forget. I feel old. Like at least in my head, like not my body. My body feels young, which is amazing, but
Mhm.
I feel like I'm way ahead of like boomers. Just being like I could
Mhm.
outtalk them on any subject related to what I know, of course. But yeah, it's so weird. And you're bringing back like AP classes. Like I graduated maybe, I think it was like ninth in my class, so not the best, but still pretty up there. Um,
Oh, that's crazy.
yeah, and like
That's
I got
insane.
college credit for like AP calculus, and now you're bringing back memories of just like sitting in class. It's crazy. But do you plan on? I think I know the answer, but do you plan on going to college?
I want to know, what do you think the answer is?
No, I don't think you are.
Damn, you're not gonna give me the answer. Oh, okay. You don't think I'm going to college?
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I don't want to go to college. I don't because I feel like it's gonna be a waste for me. I
Hmm.
feel like I understand the social aspect, getting out there and getting to know people and things like that, and sort of building connections. Because I know people who've benefited from that. I actually heard you talk about that as well. I watched your video on college, so I love to like have an open mind about it. You don't know where I'm gonna be tomorrow. I might be a completely new person. Like want to go to college and become a lawyer, which I highly doubt. But it's like you never know. But at the moment it's like, no, I don't see myself going to college. I want to continue this thing, and I've talked to other people as well. I recently, like, Ty reached out to me. Ty Frankel, he reached out to me, and he's like, are you going to college? I said, I don't think so. He's like, keep doing what you're doing online. Like, it's fine, like what you're doing. And I don't want to go to college, waste a bunch of money and just not use it, because I have family who they've went to college and they still have no job. it's been like 5 years. They still have no job.
Hmm.
I have a family who've done that. And even the sort of things that they get into, like engineering and things that you would expect have high demand, still no job. So it's like nowadays, it's the skills that pay. It's more of, I heard this thing and it was like minimum wage for minimum value. And it's
Mm.
like if the more value you can bring, the more you're paid. So it's all about skills. It's all about that sort of value that you can bring to people. And I don't think personally that I would want to go to college. My parents are pushing me to because they're immigrants, obviously. But yeah, I'm doing what I can to show that I don't. I think I can be. I know I can be independent without it.
Mm. Yeah, I think you're in a very good position to make that decision because you're far along. Like it's kind of crazy. Like once you see a specific amount of success online, it's like, okay, yeah, I've made it for life. It's just a matter of time before I'm at this point, right? You know exactly what to
Hmm.
do. It's just the time factor. So for other people, yeah, I would recommend them listening to those that are in the shoes they want to be in. But for you, yeah, you can make your own decision on that. But
Yeah.
what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the cool thing too is that I could do this if I wanted to. I plan on doing it this year, probably this summer. But once you're at like that specific point, and you especially in 2 years, fuck, you can like create your own college. If you wanted to travel and go see like a group of Twitter friends in a specific location and have that social aspect and create your own version of like a tropical college, you could do that. That's the cool thing. And then other people will be too tied down to do that and sitting in their little dorm rooms and doing whatever. But that's awesome. I fully condone your
Yeah.
decision either way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I feel like, you can. This the thing is like everyone's like, let's have a Twitter meetup and things like that. You have connections. If you have connections, there's people all over, man. I could just go to, a local event. Like I remember one of my there was a senior in my high school. When I was a freshman, I was starting my Instagram page and stuff like that. The senior reached out to me. We stayed connected. He was one of the student council members and he was one of the top for the marketing position or something, where it was like creating content for the page, for the school page and stuff.
Mhm.
So he would see me killing it and he would reach out to me. And then he just graduated high school and he's in college now. He's a freshman in college and he's in New York. And he was hitting me up and he's like, Nitty, you can come down to these events in New York and stuff. Like I've talked about you to other people. You see, if you have the right connections, the real friends, real connections will bring you up, bring your name up in a room full of opportunity.
Mhm.
So it's like, he was actually offering me to be an intern as a marketer for this startup in New York. I don't think I'd have time, or it's all the way in New York. Like I would not be able to transport and stuff like that. So I didn't really take the opportunity.
Mhm.
But it's like if you have the right connections and you're in the right place at the right time, and it's like you have those people, it's like why would you need college if you're not going to use the degree? So I feel like
Mhm.
definitely.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what's your vision with all of this? Like I'm very interested in hearing like not only the business, like where do you want to take business in 10 years? What do you see? And in life in 10 years, what do you see your life as in 10 years?
So my life as in 10 years. So I'm 20. That would be 26. That's crazy. That's crazy. Imagine we're still connected at 20 when
We
I'm
will be.
26. I can reach out to you. Like, remember?
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we're going to watch each other grow up.
Yeah, really.
But yeah, so I think in 10 years, where I see myself, damn, 10 years. I haven't been asked 10 years. I've been asked like 5 years and stuff.
Mm.
But this online business stuff, the way I'm counting it is like, you know, impact, but also I'm trying to build my net worth at a young age.
Mhm.
I'm sure you've seen my tweets where it's like I'm trying to like track my net worth
Mhm.
because that's the money I have to my name. And it's like my parents won't let me not go to college if they don't see that I have money coming in, cash flow coming in, if they don't see I have that net worth growing constantly. So I have written on my whiteboard right here, actually, and it's like I have a deadline for how much money I want to my name at what time. So I always push myself to push my products, my services. So it reminds me like, yo, you have things to do, you have work to get done. But within the next 2 years, I want that sort of factor of independence. Like I don't want to just be living with my parents this whole time. Like I want to move out and go explore things and things like that. So I was thinking like 18, 19, just move out and start traveling the world and things like that and run the online business at the same time, have that cash flow coming in. I'm still thinking about just doing like, putting content out. I am looking to be like a long-term content creator. I'm not looking to just post for like the next 2 years and done. I
Mm.
want to keep creating content. I'm going to get on YouTube and build that up like an empire. Everything else I'm trying to build as a personality. I'm trying to build to help people. And then as a side, make money from it and just have that coming in. It's like a passion project, but just for the rest of your life until you want to. So that's honestly where I see myself and what I see myself doing. But around 18, 19, I think I want to, like, I've seen other kids. Like, I know this 17-year-old who just graduated high school. He's a TikTok. He does like TikTok. He does what I do, but on TikTok, and he makes like a couple thousand from affiliate marketing every month. And he moved out with his girlfriend just recently at 17. Like, that's crazy. I didn't
Oh,
even know you could
wow.
move out at 17. Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, he moved out at 17, and he has like the same amount of net worth as me. And it's like looking at that, it's like, wow, if I still have 2 years, maybe I can move out. It's like if I can move out and just do what I want to do as well. So yeah, it's cool to see other people doing exactly what I want to do in 2 years, because it's like then I can do it. It's like I can see myself doing it as well.
Mm.
So yeah, I see myself being a long-term content creator, moving out. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a lot of good experiences ahead of you. I remember moving out my first time. Uh, like even I probably moved into 5, 6 different places until getting to this one. So you have a lot. It's a very fun time moving out with someone, having a roommate. It can be shitty, but it's a good experience. And yeah, I had one thing that I wanted to mention on. Oh, the fuck. I don't even remember it. I don't remember it, but the yeah, I like I've never tracked my net worth. What even is net worth? I don't know. Like, what's the formula?
It's like it's all your money, it's all the money to your name in your assets, whatever you have, like everything would be considered your net worth. Like
Oh, okay,
as long as it's not an expense or a liability, then it's your net worth. That's what it is. It's like all your money to your name and your assets.
yeah. I'm I'm kind of a degenerate right now, where I just I throw all my money in crypto, and like my bank account is I throw here's where I spend my money right now. I buy necessities. And oh, I remember the point. Okay, so I buy my necessities, obviously like living expenses and whatever like I want to go do. So I love going to festivals, like raves or just festivals in general. That's my shit. I love them so much. And I'll like buy tickets, and then the next time I get paid, then I'll like pay it off or something. But like right when I get money, I have a reserve amount in my savings account unless everything goes to shit. And then the rest goes in crypto and like investing in paid growth and of course employees. But the point before that is I like using the word tactical. I'm sure you've heard of the term that I started coining is like tactical degeneracy, where what I mean by that is like that's in terms of being like a degenerate and like going out and drinking and having a good time. I kind of use that as a reset button when I've worked for a long time. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go get fucked up because I know that by the end of that night, I will 100%, I will be the most motivated person in the world to get back on it, because at the end of those nights or the day where you're hungover and you just feel terrible, it's like, I need to get back on my shit right now. And you can't. So the next day or the next 2 weeks to a month, you just go hard as fuck and then get back on it or do another round of tactical degeneracy and have a good time with your normie friends. Right. And one other thing that I wanted to mention, and this is only for people that can think critically about this and do it correctly. So I'm
Mhm.
assuming you'll be able to if you want to do this. But like buying things that cost an amount that make you uncomfortable. Like this place I'm in right now um, is double what I've paid for rent before. And so I moved in here, and what do you know? I started making more than I ever have before. It's like my income rose to the baseline that I increased it to, right? If I were to go and buy a $5,000 a month place, which is not what this is, but if I were to buy a $5,000 a month place, I guarantee I'd make it work because I just make more and be smarter about how I'm making money. Does that make sense? And that's why
Yeah. Yes.
I'm I'm not a fan of budgets. I assume they're good in some cases, but it's like I like to once since I've reached a certain point here, it's like I want to buy the most high quality things that I want to buy, not like cars or anything, but like food or like when I go out to a restaurant, like I want it to be nice, not only because it's healthier for you most of the time, but uh, just because I want to reap the benefits from the work I've been putting in. And it's really powerful for a specific, the right person because you just make more money. And some people,
Yeah.
you get that, but I don't think others will.
I saw your tweet about that. I as soon as you said your thing about your apartment, I knew you were gonna bring this up. Like I saw your tweet about that, and I automatically like I think I saved it or something. Like I was like because I always thought about it that way as well. I've always thought about it like if I put my back against the wall,
Mm,
then it'll push me. Like if you're living in a $5,000 place and you're making you know you're making less than that, you're gonna I feel like me, I know I would go and put do whatever it takes. It's like other people think of it like this and it's kind of more drastic, but it's like a gun pointed to your head.
yep.
If you had a gun pointed to your head and you said you had to get this done or it shoots, or a gun pointed to someone that you love's head and they said they'll shoot it if you don't make this happen, you're gonna make it happen no matter what, life or death. Like you're gonna make it happen. I've always thought about that as well. Like when my parents would say, "Oh, how do you think you're going to survive on your own moving out?" Because it's like immigrant parents, Asian parents, it's like, your parents want you to stay living with them until you get married and go move out with your partner's, your with your partner. And it's like that's not what I want to do. I want to move out and just do what I want to do at a young age, see if I can get that sort of independence. And when I said independence, that's exactly what I meant too. I want to see if I can have my back put against the wall, then I feel like being uncomfortable will push me or that, back against the wall. I've tweeted about this too as well. Is like if you have your back against the wall, you're gonna do what it takes. You have nothing left but to do what it takes. So I really like that tweet you came out with, and I really like that idea you're coming out with. Like you should definitely say that more often because it's powerful. It's a powerful message.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it is too. And
Yeah.
it's really like you have to experience it. Like for it to resonate with other people, you have to experience it. And it becomes normalized. Like I remember talking with JK and the other podcast and how we normalize what we put ourselves into. It's like it's become habit or routine for me where if I know I'm being too comfortable, I'm going to force myself into like a life or death situation where I'm going to make it work. And in this case, it's like buying a place that one, I really want to be in, but I'm going to, like my work output is going to match what I'm doing for a specific amount of time. And then that calms down and like you can outsource and do whatever and learn along the way. But yeah, it's really powerful because it works in more situations than just money. It's like, okay, and it's a common theme too, where if you're in a very low place and you hit rock bottom and you're very tired of being there, which happens over a specific amount of time, like you enjoy it for a little bit, you're watching Netflix for a long time, you're in a very bad mood, just laying in bed, like being the classic depressed Instagram girl. And there comes a time where you either get extremely tired of it, or that normalizes, right? That normalizes, or you're like,
Hmm.
okay, fuck, I don't want to live like this anymore. I need to do something right now to get myself in a better situation. And the more urgent and real the deadline is, the better, right? In terms of the house, the minute I pay rent, it's like I am fucked if I don't make this work, right? And it's real because I put money on
Oh,
the line. There's a lease, so if I don't make it work, I'm dead, metaphorically. But that's the main thing with like goal setting too that I've learned. And like I have the power planner, and that you can put like a deadline in there. But it's the same thing. The more real the deadline actually is what's going to make or break a person, and how they actually, their work ethic behind it, and how much they improve themselves in that given time. Right.
yeah. I feel that. I feel that. I like that a lot, especially the urgency and how real it is. Damn, I never thought about it like that. Like it has to. It has to be real. It does have to be real. I remember, like, with myself tracking my net worth, for example. You said it doesn't have to only be money. Yeah, but with me, it was like, tracking my net worth. I had like $10,000 to my name in January, and now it's like almost 40,000,
Yeah.
and I'm closing in on 40,000 this month. But it's like I wouldn't have. I think my biggest month was April, and the reason it was April was because school was opening in May, and I was like kind of worried that school would put me off,
Mm,
like of track, it would push me off track. I made around like 15,000 in April, and that was like my first above 10K month. I've never hit a 10K month. I've never hit an 8K, 9K month until
mm,
until April. And it wasn't even an 8K, 9K, 10K. It was a 15K, which is insane. And the reason was because I put the deadline on my whiteboard every single day. I would put the number, it would go down. I said, "You have X amount of days to reach this goal." And underneath the net worth goal, like underneath the number, it says, how many consultations it would take, how many coaching sessions it would take, how many sales in my product it would take. And then slowly the number in parentheses would be how much is left. And every single day I would erase the number, get it down to more. But I hadn't been in school in more than a year. So it was like crazy. I was like, how is this going to throw me off? Am I going to be able to still make the same amount of money? So I was like pushing myself because it was real. Now, not as like as much as you, because you really have
mhm,
to, like, yours is real. Like you really have to, make that money in order to, keep that place that you're living in. But it's like I feel like I resonate with it, and that's why I was able to resonate with your message.
mm. Yeah. I love that,
Yeah.
because that's what I do too. It's the whole thing. What I recommend, man, for people that are getting started in, this may be bad advice. I know some people will say it's bad advice, but I don't really care. It's like, once you've learned a skill to a specific point, start trying to land clients. Like, just stop getting stuck in the tutorial hell phase where you're like, okay, yeah, I need to learn more and get this done. Learn to a specific point where you think you could handle the work. Go out and land a client, and then tell me, put a deadline on their work, and tell me you aren't going to work your ass off to make that the best thing they've ever received. Right. And then you're good to go for other clients. That's the main thing. And the same thing, like if I plan on launching a new course, I've launched the ones that I'm going to for now. But if I were going to launch a new course, and I start telling people about it, then it's like, okay, it's kind of real. Like, there's still a back door where I don't have to do this. But then it's like, okay, time to put it up for pre-sale. And I have that date, and people are expecting it. And once I get that first payment from them, it's like, okay, gotta fucking create the course before that deadline. And I do. Like, I go hard until I actually do that. So it's all about finding that way to actually create that urgency where it's like, okay, if I don't get this done, either I'm in a much worse position that I'm going to have to work my way out of, and that work is going to outweigh what I'm have to do right now, or other people are going to be pissed. And I don't want that. Right? That's just a can of worms that you don't want to open. Uh, so yeah, definitely very powerful. But
Yeah.
yeah, we've been going at this for a while. So I think that's a good way to cut it. I don't have many other questions. Do you have any last words or questions?
I don't have any questions. I would say last words, man. Anything you've taken from this episode, I think I just want to say like thank you for having me
Mm,
on, but also the talk about urgency and that realism factor. I'm gonna be planning as soon as we're off this because I want to get my ass to 50K
yep.
with my net worth as soon as possible. And Jack and Kazi, I'm sure you've heard of them on Twitter. They talk about timeline acceleration a lot, and it's like do what you can to get 3 years worth of
Mm,
growth in 3 months.
yeah.
And if you can do that, you realize it's possible. It's possible. It's totally possible. But that sort of sense of urgency and that realism in actually making it something in real life, reality, is crazy to me.
Hmm.
So I'm going to get my ass to 50K.
Do it.
And I appreciate this conversation. And I just thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you. I think really, do you have a like back end funnel for people that buy Instagram Empire to get on like a consulting call with you?
I don't. I don't have like anything. I'm like I seriously I'm as transparent as possible. I really don't have like something really structured like at the moment. It's like kind of feels like I don't want to call myself a freelancer, but it just feels like it in a way.
Hmm.
So like I do have to get my shit together with that. But it totally like I've had people come to me like Nitty, you have to it would make more sense to put a pixel in your website and all of this sort of stuff, collect emails and things like that. I was really just starting my email marketing thing just earlier today. Like I got to get on emails and stuff like that as well. But a lot of the coaching clients I close, they usually reach out to me or I reach out to them via like Instagram DMs, Twitter DMs. And it's usually to do profile audits or like help them walk them through Instagram and things like that.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. So here's what I'd recommend. This is very easy, right?
Uh-huh.
For people that buy Instagram Empire, have three emails that
Yeah.
describe your consulting offer, that just describing them and asking them to get on a call with you or fill out an application to work with you. And after that, like every week for like 8 weeks, just have a follow up like, hey, do you want to get on a call? Just a reminder that I have 3 spots open for my consulting. Do that, like remind them for 8 weeks and then maybe space it out more like months and months because the follow ups are extremely important. And then that alone gets a lot of clients, especially from the buyers of Instagram Empire. And then what you should do is I already see you have a good amount of affiliates on Twitter. I don't know about Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
but what you should do is get all of those affiliates in like a Telegram group or some kind of group. Plan a
Uh-huh.
massive sale. Plan a massive sale for Instagram Empire, have them all do it the same day, make it very scarce, like only 7 days long. 7 days long, they can do that. All
Uh-huh.
of your affiliates are promoting. You'll grow quite a bit from that and you'll get a bunch of sales. And then if you have those emails on the back end, you'll just have a bunch of people going through those consulting offer emails and then close what you can for like clients, and then those that you can't, just space them out, be like, hey, I'm already working with these people, we can start in 2 weeks, right? And that works, so you're not taking on too much as at once, and then if you want to, you can hire other consultants to help with that and then just make extra from that. But that's how you hit 50K. I mean, there's other ways to make it, but if you want to get there very quick, that would be a good way to do it, is leverage the network and other people's networks that you have that can promote your product, right? That's what I would personally do. And I'm planning something very similar um, right now.
Thank you. Thank you. That's crazy value you just gave me. Thank you. I really got to get on this email stuff, and you just telling me about it. Shit, I'm gonna
You
go
got to do
hard.
it. Yep.
Crazy. Thank you. Yeah. Not even 50K with that, 100K with that. Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Do it. Even well, and that's
Yeah.
the other thing too. If you have a lot of people going through the emails for your consulting, and let's say you can't take on many more, that's just even more reason to increase your prices, right? I don't know what your price is right now,
Mm,
but if you are in very high demand, you have the power to double your price, triple your price if you wanted to for the people that you can't land. So if your price is like $1,000 right now and you're already full and people actually want access to you, $5,000 and I'll make time for you and I'll give you that extra attention you need. Right. Of course, only if you can return more value than that, right? You understand offer creation,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's the main thing is supply versus demand and how it correlates to your price.
That's very powerful. Thank you. Like that's really all I can say is thank you. That's crazy. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna apply this. I'm gonna apply this. I'll update you. I will.
do it. Yeah, my DMs are
I
open.
like that idea. I like that idea with the Telegram and affiliates because I remember when I first got like 100 affiliates in like 2 weeks, and I was like really going hard with it. That was the week when I made the most sales. So if I can like do that, put that all into one Telegram group, and one big sale, go one big hit with make even special offers even.
Mhm.
I think that can go crazy. Yeah.
It would
Thank
go
you.
very crazy. Yeah, that's the other thing too is it makes it a lot easier on the affiliates to actually promote because if you plan out the promotion, and another good thing, this depends on how hard you want to go at it, but test a few promotional tweets yourself and then or posts, and then when you know which ones do the best, copy and paste those over into like a resources document for your actual affiliates. So they're not
Hmm.
promoting like what if they're bad promoters, like then they'll definitely use your advice for actually promoting and they'll get more sales and they'll promote more because they're not so afraid to promote something because they are used to getting little sales, right? So
Yeah.
planning out the promotion and pretty much holding their hand through it all, just with 1 to 2 pages of information for them to go off of and making it like seamless for them to actually promote the product. So that's what I'd recommend.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Like, thank you. That's what I gotta say.
I got
Appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah.
Appreciate all the help.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
problem. So to end, where can people find you? Shamelessly plug whatever you've got, and we'll say our goodbyes.
All right. Well, people can find me on Instagram, Twitter. Those are my main two platforms. You can find me at Niti Sarran. And, I have a podcast, so you can check that out, NS Audio. For some reason, it says I'm top 10% globally, which is crazy.
Damn.
10% global podcast. Yeah, it's insane. So you guys can check that out as well. I'll also have a YouTube videos coming out very soon as well, so you could check that out. But Dan, thank you, brother, for having me on. Seriously, it was really awesome talking to you for the first time, like one on one, like this. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It was fun. I appreciate you coming on. And uh, for everyone listening, subscribe to, well, first follow Needy everywhere and subscribe to her podcast because I'm going on next week, I think, on the 9th, 8th, something like that. But yeah, I'll be on NS Audio. We're going to have a good time. But until then, thank you again, Needy, for coming on. And I'll see you on Twitter.
All right, see you.